Welcome back, Seville. We have the love doctors in the house. Can we cue a little Barry White? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
having
you.
us.
Oh, pleasure. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you do 1,000,001 things. But I want to get right down to your couples therapy. You guys say on your website that, I'm going to quote it because it's just perfectly written, you help couples to resolve the problems of living together. I mean, it sounds so simple, but really that's an important thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it used to be so easy, but with the evolution of roles and life, how do you help couples to solve the problems of living together?
Well, maybe it never was easy. Maybe
Oh.
we just have been saying that. We've always said two can live as cheaply as one. And that's just not true. So part of it is to acknowledge that you do need to work things out from the beginning, that love really doesn't conquer all, it assists all.
Right.
So our job is to help people really focus on what they need to pay attention to make progress so their relationship can grow.
So are you saying that we should take the fairy tale out of, because we kind of teach our kids that Prince Charming's going to come and we get disappointed. I'm sorry, but...
Right, yeah, you want to take this kind of fantasy life out of it, the utopian ideals, but you don't want to take the romance out.
Right.
So, here it is, almost Valentine's Day. What we talk about is how to keep the love alive. The title of our new book is Lifelong Love. It's not about just
Lifelong love.
being in love in that moment, and the in love part of the relationship usually only lasts about 12 to 18 months, and then you got to deal with what it's like to live together and
Right,
make
the
it work.
honeymoon period, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not bad news, because sort of like having children, every age has something really unique and really exciting. So part of what we do with couples is to help them to continue to invent their life together, rather than just putting up with what's been going on.
That's interesting. So you said that the communication. Okay, so if a couple gets together and they fall in love in a certain way, and then one's path veers completely off the path that the other thought they were going down, and all of a sudden someone says, well, you're not the person I thought you were. But there's got to be an element of who they were there still, just a different path. How do you...
Right. So what we change the focus to is it's not so much looking at you're not the person that you were, it's our relationship isn't the way it was. And we start helping them to focus on really creating a new vision for their relationship. And that vision can be continually changing as each individual, as the couple grows. And like Peter said, it's like a child. Your relationship is like your child. And you devote everything to having that child be the best he or she it possibly can.
And you nurture it.
And you nurture
And
it.
it's not just commitment to the other person. Though I love Phyllis, I love our relationship. So our relationship takes on the problems rather than us. So I don't have to blame her.
Rather than us individually.
Yeah, us individually. So rather than to blame her, I say, what could we be doing that would make things better? And it starts with the notion that you are committed to the relationship.
That's amazing. I think that's a big thing right there, because the minute you sort of say, well, I'm not sure, then you do make the relationship flimsy, right? You put a little bit of doubt in that person's head that, oh, you mean this isn't solid?
Well, and what's wrong and how are we different rather than how we are the same? It's like playing on a team. Is that everybody doesn't do the same thing on the team.
Right.
Michael Jordan didn't just score 1/5 of the points for the Chicago Bulls. He was an expert at scoring points. Dennis Rodman was an expert at getting rebounds. Same in a couple. So that diversity actually is a strength rather than a weakness.
I love that.
Well, Peter loves sports analogies. We can sit here all night and give sports analogies about
That's
couple
fine. It's
and
for
the
our
team.
male viewers out there.
Right.
They'll
It's for our male
understand that.
viewers.
And it works. The team analogies do work.
Yeah.
And the other analogy that you use that's really important is the foundation. What makes the relationship work is having a strong foundation. And that's why when we talk about our couple power model, the first of the 4 C's is commitment, which creates the foundation for the strong relationship.
Now, this is something that you've developed, the 4
Yes.
C's, and please tell us what the 4 C's
Okay,
are.
and they have to be in this order.
Okay, that's important.
The first one, as I said, is commitment.
Okay.
And the second task is cooperation. The third one is communication, which isn't the place usually to start.
Right.
Because you need to have that foundation of commitment and how to cooperate before communication can be really effective.
A lot of people when we work with come in and say, we're having trouble. The problem is our communication. But communication isn't very helpful unless there's a reason to communicate.
So you're like, rewind, we've got
Right,
a couple of
'cause-
other steps to deal with.
Because people
first.
come in all the time and you
Okay.
say, I'm glad I can finally tell you the truth. I think you're disgusting. I hated our relationship from the beginning. That's not
They
helpful.
say terrible
That's
things
not
to
helpful.
each other.
Have they said, you
Well,
It
see
happens
that?
a lot.
Yeah, they say terrible things to each other, and if you just let that go, by the end of a session, they can say, "Yep,
You're right.
You're right. I'm convinced this is
Thank
a
you
relationship."
for
relationship.
having me be clear,
So we
right.
don't just sit there and let them ramble on like that. It can be very destructive.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you kind of step in, like a referee.
Like the
Yes.
referee. And then we say, if you're committed, then cooperating, the second C, becomes really important. Most of us think we're really good at cooperating, and usually we're not.
I think I am, but
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
that
know we're really good at cooperating when all the other people do the things that we ask them to
Right.
do. So we actually train people to take things on. Every couple has a project that's not finished that they were going to work on. Being able to do that, take that on together, trains them to work together and cooperate.
Do you find that women tend to think they're better cooperators than men? Like, is it sort of skewed one way or the other?
Well, not really, but what happens a lot in traditional marriages is that women tend to compromise and back off and give
Oh.
in more than the more assertive male might do. And that's, of course, changing. But when that happens, then they're not cooperating. Compromise is not the same as cooperation. In cooperation, it's a win-win. In compromise, you're usually sort of giving up or giving in order to get something
I
later.
love that. So say that again. Compromise versus
Cooperation.
It's
Right.
like tolerance versus acceptance.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
good
very
way to
good.
put it, yes.
And we
Okay.
think that people can learn that what frightens people about relationships a lot of times, getting in a relationship, is what they have to give up. And they don't concentrate on what they get out of it. So we're always saying you don't have to compromise, you just have to keep going and invent something new for yourself that works for both of you. Rather than it's my way or your way, it becomes our way, and we get good enough at being able to invent that and create that.
I love that. I really feel like we're moving in a direction of I. Look out for yourself. Make sure you've got yourself covered. And we can't possibly make relationships work with the I mentality, right?
Yeah,
No I in
if
team.
it's right, if it's my way or the highway,
Then it's
then it's
you might
gonna
as
be
well
the
stay
highway.
on the highway, right?
And we live in a world that's really very individualistic. It's how we operate at work, it's how we, even in school, it's like, what's your grade,
Right.
not what did you do together. And that particular thing makes it very difficult to be in a relationship because the I comes first. For us, it's the we that comes first.
Right.
And here's the part that's really cool, is that the we can then take on what the I wants to do. Right?
So we can take
Yeah.
on what the I wants. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so
yes. A light bulb went off.
For example,
Okay.
when I wanted to audition for a show, and because I'm a singer, and make that work in our life, Peter helps to reorganize our schedule so that he supports me in being able to do that.
Because I figured out if she's not happy, I'm not
You're not
happy.
gonna be happy.
All right, and we can actually invent something that works for me as well, so that she takes on things that I do at work or in other areas of my life. Or I'll go to a football game and she'll support me, or she'll take me to the train station. But you negotiate that in the beginning, and you do it because you know that together you're committed to staying together. That's the
And to feel
hallmark of this.
supported
Yeah.
it makes one happy.
Yeah, and
doesn't
let's
it?
say something more about support, because you can't just depend on each other for support. You need to be able to have support outside of your couple.
Wonderful, because then
And
you're putting
that's-
too much pressure on
right.
each other to be everybody
That's
for everything.
the fourth C, what we call community.
Okay.
And we have many ways that you can develop couples that will be a part of a community that supports your couple and you support them. We have co-founded a nonprofit organization, in fact, called Couples Coaching Couples, which exists in the Charlottesville area, but all over the country.
And do they get trained to coach each other, or do? is
Yes,
it
and
just,
it's, well, we wrote a manual.
Okay.
And it's pretty easy to understand. You don't have to be a therapist. You just learn to coach each other in the process.
love that
idea.
You learn how to support each other, and then we meet every 3 months,
talk about how it's going.
All the
So you check
couples
in with
together.
them?
Yeah, and then once a year we have a national couples convention.
Yeah, it's like couples camp.
Yeah,
right?
it's great.
But the important part is
So
that
the support keeps expanding.
the couple coaches the couple, not the individual. And you learn, part of your cooperation is learning how to coach another couple as a couple. And then they turn around and coach you.
And it must be almost a mirror sometimes too, to sort of see a bit of yourself in the other while you're watching the other couples.
Oh yeah, you
talk.
learn by coaching.
You
for
learn
sure.
by coaching.
For sure.
That's wonderful. Well, I loved in your website you talked about it being like a diet. Like if you are on a diet and then you go off the diet, you just gain the weight back, right? So this is a lifestyle
Sure.
change. It's
Right.
not just quick little fixes. So I really love that a lot. Let's talk about the books quickly. I know we're running out of time, and I have so much I want to ask you, but we have two books here: Couple Power Therapy, Building Commitment, Cooperation, Communication, and Community in Relationships.
Yes, and that's actually written for therapists, but it's readable and understandable
It is,
by,
okay,
by
so
anyone, and
it's-
that one is available now.
Okay, so laymen can read
Yes.
and,
Right.
and
Although the
follow along.
new book that's coming out, that'll be out this summer, is
Lifelong
for
Love.
Lifelong Love is
Is
for
written
the general
for the
public,
general public.
and has lots and lots of examples of what to
That's
do.
this one, the
Yeah.
Lifelong
Lifelong
Love.
Love.
So that has
Is that the cover?
exercises and
That's
examples.
the
It's
cover.
really
what the cover's
beautiful.
gonna
I
look
love
like.
it. It's very Valentine's Day.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And then this one,
The Dream Sharing Source book is a part of a trilogy that actually I started when I wrote the Dream Source book, and then we wrote the Dream Source book journal, and then we wrote this book, the Dream Sharing Source book, which is about how to use your night dreams, your waking fantasies,
wow.
your visioning dreams to create breakthroughs in your relationships and to understand what's happening.
can I borrow this?
Sure. Well, one of the
And
wonderful
that's available on Amazon.
Oh, good. That's good too.
One of the wonderful things about that book is, because we have this conversation all the time about men in relationships. Most men don't want to talk about their relationship. They don't really want to go see a counselor. It doesn't really appeal to them. But they will talk about their dreams. And we found that in the morning sometimes when we wake up, it's an opportunity to connect with the other person. Just say what you were dreaming about. Don't have to do a lot of heavy interpretation. Just a chance to say, like, I saw this amazing movie and I want to tell you about it.
I so want to be a fly on their wall. Can I just come and like follow you around and take notes?
Right, we can start our own reality.
Yeah, exactly. Let me know when you're into that. I'll try to find the producer. Now, I got to wrap it up, but most importantly, where can the viewers find you? Where can they?
Well, the website, which is couplepower.com.
Which
They
will
can also
magically
call
appear.
either one of our offices. I have an office downtown on the mall in the Creative and Healing Arts Institute, and the number is
And you can Google us.
434-971-4701. You can Google us. And Peter is also available at the University of Virginia.
That's right, one of your several other jobs while you're connecting people with love. Well, thank you so much. I could
thank
sit
you.
here probably all night and bend your ear, but I really appreciate the time you've
Can
given
read the
us.
book.
I'll read the book, yes. I'm going to borrow this book. I'm sure there's people in our studio audience that might want to borrow it too. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for supporting Kids Making Television. Stick around. We're going to see Eric play one more song before we head out. Stay tuned.